When it comes to spotting talent in the paranormal romance world, nobody does it better than executive editor Cindy Hwang. I recently caught up with Cindy and asked her about Christine Feehan's books and how exactly she went from being a Feehan fan to the author's editor. Hi Cindy, thanks for talking to us about Christine Feehan.
Oh, no problem, my pleasure.
Cindy, do you remember the first time you picked up a Christine Feehan book?
I do. I had been hearing a lot of talk about Christine on romance websites. I'd been visiting. As an editor, that's what you do. You listen to what people are reading because you want to find the next new exciting voice. And a lot of readers had been talking about Christine. And I thought, you know, I must read her. So the next time I went to a bookstore, I picked up her book. And it was a revelation. It was something that was so completely fresh. Obviously, vampires have been around for, gosh, hundreds of years in literature. And Anne Rice obviously had been doing vampires for years. But no one that I've read in the romance area had combined both the appeal of the vampire with the emotional appeal that's at the heart of a romance. And Christine was able to do that with these, with the Carpathians and with their search for their life mate. It really was a perfect blend, I thought, of what made romance appealing and what made vampire literature appealing.
After reading that first book, how did you then become Christine's editor?
I did what any reader would do once they've read something they enjoyed tremendously. I contacted Christine and wrote her a little fan letter. I told her that who I was and how much I enjoyed reading her book, and we struck up a little correspondence from there. So I was able to just connect with Christine purely on a reader level before I actually even had the privilege of working with her. And that was something that I think a lot of editors would love to do, is to connect with their authors on a purely a book level.
So what kind of special powers or incredible strengths do Carpathians have that humans don't have?
Well, they have a lot of great physical strength. They have the ability to shapeshift, not just into other animals, but also into other forms. Like they can travel on the air. They have the ability to manipulate weather. They have psychic abilities. So they do have a lot of the traditional abilities that vampires have been associated with. And Christine has been able to build upon that and create her own take on the vampire with the Carpathians.
It's kind of vampire mythology with a twist.
Yes, it is. At the center of it is an emotional story as well, since all the Carpathians want to feel emotion again. So for them, it's a search for emotion, and they find their emotion usually with their life mate. Most of the surviving Carpathians are male, so they're often searching for the female half to complete them. And once they meet their life mate, the emotions return to them.
I know that Christine does some really interesting things online to reach out to her fans. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Christine is very active with her fans. She loves hearing from them, and her website she created as a way of interacting with her fans. So she has a space for readers a bulletin board where readers can post and where she can answer questions. She also has things that you can download for free on her website, things, puzzles. She has videos that you can watch on her website, interviews. She does a lot of book trailers. They're always posted on her website. She has free screensavers and things of that nature, and she's always updating them.
So do you have a sense of where the Dark series is headed?
Well, I know in the immediate future where it's headed. Where it's headed in 10 books, I'm not sure. But I know Christine has thought about it. But she only gives me bits and pieces because she knows if she gives me a lot more information, I'm going to say, oh my God, I really want to read that book. You have to write it next. Sometimes characters will surprise even Christine. I actually remember one instance when she had told me who the hero of Dark Curse was, which is the book before Dark Slayer. And when I actually got the book, it wasn't him. And I called Christine, and I was like, who is this guy, and where's the hero? And she said he didn't want to be in this book any longer, so she had to write him out. He said this wasn't his story.
That was his prerogative,
yes,
right?
exactly. He wasn't ready, and this was not going to be his story. But this other character kept insisting that this was his story.
Gotcha.
So that he stepped forward. And it's not what she planned, but it's what happened, and the book is great. So there were no complaints, but it was a surprise.
I know that Christine also has 2 other really popular series. Do you want to tell us briefly about those 2 series?
She actually has 3 series.
Oh, 3
yeah,
series
3
now.
more series now.
I can't even keep up.
Yeah, it's hard actually. Well, the 4th series just debuted this year, so it's going to be interesting to see how she juggles all these balls.
So it's new. It's not my fault.
Yes. She has the Leopard series, which featured shape-shifting leopards. And that series is it's one of my favorite series. The characters are very intense. They're very sexy, and both the heroine and the heroes are shape-shifting leopards. And so that's a really interesting dynamic because they're very passionate people. Then she has another series which it actually came to the end this year, and it was her Drake Sisters series. Hidden Currents was the last book in that series, but she's actually beginning a spin-off series set in the same town next year, and it's going to be called the Sea Haven series. Sea Haven is actually the town where the Drake Sisters live, so the Drake Sisters will be making an appearance in each book. But the series itself is not centered on the Drake Sisters any longer. Then there's the Carpathians, who is definitely her oldest series and probably her most popular one still. And then she has the Game series, which features the Ghostwalkers, who are genetically engineered super soldiers. And those actually include the women as well as the men. And this series is very adventure. There's a lot of mystery and suspense and action. So they have a different feel because there's a lot of military stuff in this series as opposed to like the Leopard series where there isn't as much military. So each series does have a different tone to it, but they all are pure Christine Feehan.
Well, thanks so much for talking to us, Cindy.
You're very welcome. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too.
The series is about the 7 deadly sins, and in each of the books, the couple falls in love, and through the course of them falling in love, one of the 2 of them, and it may not be immediately clear which, has been seduced off the path, and the love is what brings them back to where they need to be. And so each one of the books covers a deadly sin.
Read Covet by J.R. Ward, the first book in the Fallen Angels series.